This is video number 4 of our complete year of hive management series. This time period in this video is going to be around the first week of March or so. We'll come back into each yard and do basically the same thing that we've done in the mid-February time period in our last video. We'll tip back every single hive in the yard, get a frame count of the frames covered with bees and record that on our hive cards. And we start to get a good idea of the condition of every hive. We're able to really pick out those stronger hives that are growing fast and single out those hives that was weak the last time and are still weak now and haven't really grown. And that allows us to kind of make some decisions from this point on how we manage those hives going forward. Once again, the singles that are getting full of bees, if they've got 10 frames in the box, once they get to around 7 frames or so covered in bees, we'll place a second deep on top of those. The boxes that have 8 frames and a feeder, we'll wait till they got 5 to 6 frames covered with bees before they get a second box on top. Those weak colonies that are kind of laying back and haven't really grown, we'll place those on top of a stronger hive. We'll just pick them up off their spot, put a queen excluder on top of a stronger hive, and put that hive with the queen right on top of that queen excluder. And it acts as it's 2 separate hives with 2 laying queens stacked together. And the idea of that is that hive with the stronger bees below will relinquish some of those bees up top through the queen excluder, will go into that weaker hive in top and make a bigger cluster of bees and help cover some more brood frames and allow that queen to lay out a bigger nest. And later on, that colony, after we give it a couple of weeks or so, that brood nest will be bigger. It'll have more bees. We'll pull it right off of that hive again, put it right back in the spot that it came from, or another empty spot. And it'll take those bees that have come up from the bottom right with it, so that it'll give that weak hive a good boost, and it should do good from there. Well, also, the buckets that we filled with syrup the last time around, if they've got any syrup left in them, we'll empty that syrup out of the bucket and refill every feeder again with the light syrup that we fed just like last time. Take any pollen patties that may still be in the hive, we'll take those out. We check for hive beetle larvae where that patty was laying at and try to get rid of that if we can. Sometimes they'll have larvae where the patty was, sometimes they won't. We'll put a new patty on every one. The weaker colonies get a ½ pound, strong colonies get a whole pound, 1 pound patty, just like we did the time before. We'll be able to kind of start to pick out our standout queens at this point too. It's getting time to start preparing to graft. We have a lot of things that we keep notes on our hive cards through last year and so far this year. And one thing is that we account for is those high frame counts. The first time around that we count them, and also as they grow into this time period. That higher frame count and higher growth than the average around the other hives is just one more good attribute that we judge queens by. It proves, just that in itself proves good overwintering ability and good overall health. And we use that to go along with a lot of the other characteristics that we judge them by. If that queen, those standout queens that really have higher numbers than your other hives, they've been treated the same way, basically look the same way going into winter, but those standout queens have a higher frame count of bees, have more bees in the box than the others. That kind of proves that they did not have any kind of issues, at least over winter time, that no mite issues, no kind of sickness or any other issues. So that's one thing we will use for our selection. We'll also get those queens that we are considering for grafting. We will do mite counts on all those at this time and record that on our hive cards and use that as another selection criteria. But we will pick out this first week of March, we will pick out a few select queens to begin our grafting. Our grafting will begin this week in the first week of March. A lot of things we use is the frame counts of bees. The first frame counts coming out of winter, the growth of the hive through the spring, our mite counts, age of the queen, temperament, brood patterns, and any other things that we've recorded on those hive cards. We just take all of that into consideration, and as you look through those notes and look through the hives, there will be a select few that really stand out, and we'll pick a few of those to begin our grafts. So we graft our first queens on the first week of March, during the first week of March, for use during the middle of March. If you want more info on how we grade our queens and pick out queens for grafting, I'll reference the video down below in the video description on grading queens. Those first grafted queen cells will be placed in splits that we'll make in mid-March, around the middle of March, and that's where we'll pick up on our next video, go into more details as we get in further into spring and start to pick up in more steps in the process of how we manage our bees through the season. That'll be video number 5 in this series. I'm Brad Kelly with Chilton Bee Company. I thank you for watching.